Have you ever just stopped and wondered how a toddler can master the intricate rules of a language without a single lesson? It's honestly one of the greatest puzzles of the human mind. Today, we're going to try and crack the code of grammar to find out how it all works. So let's just dive right into this mystery. A little kid masters their native language with all of its mind-bendingly complex rules before they can even tie their own shoes. Think about it. No textbooks, no grammar drills. So how on earth is that possible?
Just think for a second about the language a child actually hears around them. It's messy. It's full of mistakes, interruptions, half-finished sentences, and yet, from all that chaotic input, they manage to build a perfectly structured grammar inside their own head. This massive gap, the one between the messy data they get and the perfect system they create, linguists have a name for it: the poverty of stimulus. And that's the central puzzle we're trying to solve.
To even begin to solve this, we actually have to rewind to this really old philosophical debate. Is the human mind a blank slate, a tabula rasa, that just kind of records whatever experiences the world throws at it? Or is it more like what the philosopher Leibniz imagined? He said it's like veined marble, a block that already has an internal structure, these veins that guide the sculptor's hand and pretty much determine the final shape.
Well, in the middle of the 20th century, the linguist Noam Chomsky came along and proposed this truly revolutionary answer, and he sided firmly with the veined marble. He basically argued that the fundamental structure of language isn't learned from the outside at all, it's already on the inside.
Chomsky called his big idea universal grammar. So the theory goes that we are all born with a kind of pre-installed operating system for language. This built-in faculty provides a universal blueprint, a set of basic principles and parameters that underlies every single human language on the entire planet.
Okay, so the theory really rests on three main pillars. First, this ability for language is biological. It's literally in our DNA. Second, it claims that if you peel back the surface differences of any language, whether it's Japanese or Swahili, you're going to find the same core architecture underneath. And third, and this is the big one, it's the most powerful explanation we have for that poverty of stimulus problem. You know, how kids learn so much from so little information.
So, you might be asking, what's the proof for such a bold claim? Well, the evidence is actually hiding in plain sight. It's in the way every single child on Earth learns to talk.
It seriously doesn't matter if a kid is learning English or Mandarin, they all follow the exact same script. They go from cooing to that one-word stage where a single word like juice can mean a whole sentence like, I want juice right now. And then comes that two-word telegraphic stage with these simple commands like, want cookie. This universal pattern, it strongly suggests there's a biological clock just ticking away inside all of them.
But get this, maybe the most powerful piece of evidence is this hidden rule that every single child knows instinctively, even though I promise you, no one ever teaches it to them. It's called structure dependency, and it is a total game changer. Let's actually see it in action. Okay, so here we have a pretty simple sentence. Just notice that the word is shows up twice. The man who is tall is happy. Got it?
All right. Now, if you wanted to turn that statement into a question, you have to move one of those is's to the very beginning of the sentence. So, which one do you move? Just think about it for a second. How does your brain automatically know the right answer?
So here's the absolutely critical part. Your brain doesn't just follow some simple linear rule like, oh, just move the first is you see, because if it did, you'd get that first sentence, which is just nonsense. Instead, your mind automatically, instantly sees the sentence's architecture. It knows the main thought is, the man is happy, and it correctly moves the is from that main part, not the little piece embedded inside. And this, right here, brilliantly illustrates this principle of structure dependency. Grammatical rules don't operate on just a simple string of words. They operate on the abstract hierarchical structure of the sentence. Nobody ever sat you down and taught you this rule, and yet you and every 5-year-old child knows it perfectly. It's an incredibly powerful argument that this knowledge has to be innate.
But Chomsky's revolution, which did a great job explaining how we get grammar, was really just one part of the story. It actually prompted a whole other group of linguists to ask a different but equally important question. What is grammar actually for?
And we can see how the thinking evolved right here on this chart. We started with traditional grammar, which was all about telling you the correct way to speak, like a rule book. Then Chomsky's approach came along, and it focused on describing what is grammatically possible. But then a third view popped up, the functional approach, which asked a much simpler question: what does language actually do? So these functional linguists, from places like the Prague and London schools, they saw language not just as a set of abstract rules, but as a toolkit. They looked at it like an engineer looking at an engine, asking, okay, what job does this part do? How does it help us get our message across? For them, grammar is a resource for making meaning.
And this functional view completely changed how we think about teaching language. The old way was all rule-based. Okay, class, memorize the passive voice. The new, function-based way starts with the goal. Hey, you want to sound objective and formal, like in a science paper? Okay, here's a tool for that, the passive voice. See, it connects the rule to a real-world purpose.
So why does all this theory actually matter in the real world? Well, because understanding the true nature of grammar, both its innate structure and its practical function, has some really profound real-world consequences.
5 years. That's it. That's all it takes for a child to master the breathtakingly complex grammar of their native language. And understanding this miracle isn't just some academic puzzle, it is the key to helping when that process, for whatever reason, goes wrong.
This research has a direct and massive impact on people's lives. It helps speech therapists create really targeted treatments. It allows educators to design better teaching materials. It even helps us create fairer tests. But most importantly, it helps us accurately identify conditions like dyslexia, which can prevent the tragedy of a child being misdiagnosed just because we didn't understand how their language faculty was developing.
In the end, as the ethnographer Malinowski so beautifully put it, language is all about connection. It's the technology we use to literally transfuse thoughts and feelings directly from one mind into another. So understanding grammar is really understanding the very mechanism of that connection.
And that brings us to a final and pretty fascinating question. For the first time in history, we are building non-biological minds that can master language. So as these AI systems evolve, will they help us finally understand our own minds? Could they be the key that finally unlocks the secrets of that veined marble, that ancient biological grammar that's hardwired into every human brain?